Hello, everyone. Welcome to Anai de America, Bro Tease America. And today is May 17th, 2025. I have a special guest today, and his name is Mike. He has been my friend for more than 22 years. Welcome, Mike. And just to introduce you, Mike, he was my former student, a few years senior to me, but I look up to him in a number of different ways. And I should say he's my white friend. He's one of my white friends who I talk freely with all the racial issues without any reservations or whatsoever. Openly, we talk about it. So we just don't curse much. And we just found out like we don't curse much in our mutual presence, but I just learned that Mike can curse a lot. So whereas I go on this show as far as calling the president of the United States a hole or something like that. Welcome, Mike.
Oh, thank you very much. And I would mention that Mohan's a very close friend of mine, and he's also a mentor of mine and somebody I look up to. So it's been
Yeah.
a
So the feeling is
wonderful few years,
mutual.
very much.
So in case you don't know, I mean, this is usually is a excuse me, a Telugu language podcast, if you will. And Mike, I think you have subscribed it, but you probably don't understand anything I say there. But
No.
so the equivalence of Anna in America means bro, tease America. And the subtitle you see on the top of your head, Ade Mohana Murali. So it's part of my name, you know that. Mohan Murali is part of my name. It's not my full name. My last name is omitted from that. Ade means American Desi. Desi is a description of Indians and Pakistanis in United States. Basically, these two together they go as Desi. I think some people disagree that Pakistanis are also called Desis, but generally Desi refers to an Indian residing in United States. That's the thing. Ade. It also means the same Mohan Murali. Ade means like it's the same guy. It's a dual description. Anyway, so what you know the purpose of this show, but it's basically what I. It's completely different from what I used to do, and you actually came and participated twice before on my show, which was more about culture, and you and I talked a lot about education, etc. at that time. But this is completely different. This title, Bro Tease America, is purely political, and I also put videos non-political that don't have that caption on Bro Tease America. So the most important thing I'm doing this. Yeah, of course, you know it, but I'm just refreshing your memory. Why I'm doing this is to educate my fellow bases about some of the ongoing political issues, and then dispel any kind of misinformation, and then give my opinion about it. And also, the live shows. The part of the reason for live shows is to have an interaction and then have a dialogue, and then exchange of ideas. And the reason I asked you to come here is give a perspective, even though you and I agree on a whole bunch of issues. You call yourself as a leftist, and I kind of call myself center middle or middle right or something like that. So that I don't like labels, but on issue based things, we could both be on the same side or whatever. So with that setup, uh, Dr. Mike, uh, so any initial thoughts? Like we are going to talk today mainly about immigration. By the way, how many generations you have been here? You
Um, Four.
you are the fourth generation American. So
Yeah.
tell me definitionally, do I qualify to be first generation, or my kids are the first generation?
I, I really,
I'm an immigrant, but I am naturalized. I should be the first generation, right?
I would think so, but I don't know how that's counted.
I Yeah, I seen both ways. But anyway, so the topic we are going to talk about is broader categories, immigration, and then we see whatever is in the latest news, and you and I have some exchange. And the purpose of this exchange is to give some uh, food for thought for the people who speak my language, tune into this, and from a uh, cross-cultural viewpoint on this. So fourth generation American, white American versus a first generation Indian American, brown skin. So because you and I are friends, we don't get offended by whatever I don't get offended by whatever you say, and you don't get offended by whatever I say. So that's like our conversation is going to be very open and candid. I'll start with this. You see in this news about Afrikaners, like given refugee status, and they're fast tracked into United States, and we sent private jets to bring in the first batch of Afrikaners into Dallas Airport 2 3 days ago. They came in. I think about 59 people came in, and the Deputy Secretary of State goes there and then welcomes them. What are your thoughts on this whole thing related to Afrikaners who are basically white South Africans? At the same time, we are deporting Afghan people who helped us in the war with Taliban and others. We have given them asylum and then fast, or whatever, green card or whatever it is. Biden brought them in here like more than about 100,000 or something like that because US gave them their word that they will be resettled in the United States, and now we are deporting them back to Afghanistan. What are your thoughts on that?
I find it offensive. That I was in the Air Force. I had a military career. I was in the Air Force for 25 years. I retired before Afghanistan and Iraq and that conflict got very extensive. But in any case, I don't understand how we go back on what I view as a solemn, almost sacred promise to people who assisted the country, who did right by us. And we're also deporting and not fast tracking people who meet the definition of being under protected status when they petition to come into the United States, because, like Venezuelans who are, physically and politically threatened. So I find it offensive.
So the offensive part, I actually looked at first and the foremost. The most offensive part is, well, if you're accommodating a new class of people for whatever reason, it's like way back when during Reagan years, Kennedy giving a special status for Irish or something like that. Something like that happened, right? I don't mind that at all, in the sense like, okay, fine, you want to bring in some additional class of people. It's not right, but it's fine. But do not renege on the promise you have given to other people. It's more than offensive. It's kind of like it shadows the myth of America.
It really does. And not only do you make a whole new class of these Afrikaners coming in, you move them to the head of the line.
Yeah.
And then the people you've already said, hey, you're good, we're bringing you in. Now you're saying you're not only the back of the line, you can't come in at all, and we're going to deport those of you who are here. We're going to deport you.
Well, so I just the other day I put out this video about Afrikaners, and with the blistering closures, which saying like there are Indian Americans. Well, they're not yet Americans. They are on H-1B, are waiting for green card. Some of them have been on H1 for whatever. So there is the process is in such way. If you are picked for what's like M400, I forgot the exact sequence of it, but once your green card is in the process and you are given some kind of a date, I think your H1 can be extended until you receive the green card, right? There are people, I know for sure there are people on that status waiting for their green card for however many, like I know at least one person took him 15 years. 15 years after getting that And in these 15 years, they go through a whole bunch of transformation, familial mostly. And then if the kids were born in India and they become of age, like 18 years, and they have to be going back. So here is one. We talked about the asylum status, but I'm talking about those who are here legally and in the process, and they don't get any preferential treatment. It's I can say that without any reservation here, both parties are at fault here. It's not just the Republicans. Republicans tend to obstruct more than Democrats on this one, and also Democratic senators also they played some nasty games for when it came to reservation status. I'm sorry, not reservation, the immigration laws. So I just want to give you that additional perspective from the Indian who most there's an estimated 300,000 or so Indians are on H1 and waiting for some kind of a green card. That's a lot of people. And now
Well,
you see these 67,000 who are aspiring Americans claim to be persecuted, uh, being killed, according to President Trump. So,
there's no question that the immigration system has been broken for decades and decades and decades, certainly longer than I've been alive, and I'm darn near 70 years old.
yeah.
But there's a tension in this country where a lot of industries want cheap labor, and the way to get that is illegal immigration. I mean, construction industry, farming industry, um, entertainment, restaurants. Um, but it all leads to the sort of situation here where if you have a malevolent actor like Trump, somebody who's going to be a demagogue and rise on this issue, then they can make a lot out of it. But I think you're exactly right. Both political parties
Yeah, I think
take more
your
responsibility.
voice is breaking up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe a Wi-Fi issue. Yeah, I mean the cheap labor, farming, and all that. So let me. In my intro I forgot to mention. Mike is a retired Air Force. I mean, he retired at the rank of colonel. So on that front, this is another topic I covered in one of my videos. Is about the oath of office. So I heard you speak with a certain sense of reverence when you talked about you put the uniform, you took the oath. What does it mean to you taking the oath of office? Is that pretty much the same thing? Pretty much the same oath the president takes, and the president tells the Kristen Walker on NBC when she said, "Don't you have to uphold the Constitution?" He essentially said, "I don't know." What say you?
Yeah, it's you're right. There's a tremendous similarities in the oaths of all elected officials, federal officials, and serving military officers. And as you suggest, the oath is sworn to the Constitution and not to a person. So your loyalty to those above and below you, your loyal to your comrades, but ultimately you're there to uphold the Constitution.
So, on the issue of oath, there is no such thing as, say, you are not held a public office, or you're not served in the military or any other armed services, right? But if you are a normal citizen, you held out private jobs, you live your normal life. Do they have? I mean, they never take an oath in any aspect. What is their responsibility, civic duty as a normal citizen? I'm going somewhere with this. Like,
Okay. I mean, it was very different when I was in private industry because there everything's focused on the boss. I mean, you're loyal to the boss. You do everything to please the boss and bring in, contracts, money, whatever. I mean, it's all about the boss, which is very different from being in the military where you have a mission, and your ultimate loyalty is to an idea, to the ideas embodied in the Constitution.